Why are so many seniors losing energy, strength, and clarity? Even though they try to eat healthy? You skip the soda, you avoid sweets, you even eat your vegetables. But somehow, you still wake up stiff, still forget where you put your glasses, still feel that quiet drop in energy after lunch, like your body's running on old fuel. It does not mean you are doing anything wrong. In fact, it means your body is still trying to protect you. But the foods you've been told are healthy might not be healthy for you anymore. Because the real threat after 60 isn't always visible. It's not the big dessert or the extra bread roll, it's the hidden sugars, the invisible carbs, quietly working against your joints, your memory, and your muscle strength. One slow day at a time. But here's the truth. Healing doesn't begin with restriction. It begins with replacement, with foods that don't spike, don't inflame, and don't confuse your body. Foods that give you back what time tried to take. One meal, one quiet bite at a time. In today's video, I'll show you exactly which 10 foods nourish your strength, sharpen your mind, and calm that inflammation without sugar, without carbs, and without confusion. And you are not alone in this. Studies show nearly 50% of adults over 65 are unknowingly eating foods that raise blood sugar, even when they think they are eating clean. Your effort is not the issue, but your information might need a reset. So stay with me until the end. You might be surprised by what your body has been missing. And before we begin, I'd appreciate it if you like this video. It helps me keep sharing these healing truths about growing older with strength, peace, and positive energy. Let's begin. Before we dive into the first food, I want you to take a gentle breath and ask yourself, when was the last time something you ate made you feel truly light, strong, and steady afterward? Because food is not just fuel, it is communication. It tells your cells what to do, your brain how to feel, your joints how to move. And after 60, that conversation becomes even more important. So let us begin this healing dialogue, one bite of wisdom at a time, starting with a food you may have overlooked since childhood. Tip number 1. Cabbage, the forgotten healer for your gut, joints, and energy. Cabbage may seem like an old-fashioned food, something from grandma's soup pot or a long-forgotten slaw, but what hides inside its crunchy leaves is one of the most powerful tools for healing your body after 60. It contains almost no carbohydrates, absolutely no sugar, and yet it is rich in vitamin C to boost your immunity, vitamin K to protect your bones, and fiber to keep your digestion regular and steady like a calm river. But the real secret lies in its ability to feed the friendly bacteria in your gut. Those quiet workers who help break down food, soothe inflammation, balance mood, and even regulate sleep. Researchers have found that a healthy gut microbiome is deeply tied to cognitive function and longevity, especially in older adults, and cabbage acts like a nourishing whisper to those invisible helpers. Unlike heavy starches that weigh you down or sugary snacks that spike then crash, cabbage gives without asking for much in return. No blood sugar swings, no joint swelling, no digestive drama. It is gentle, affordable, and incredibly versatile. Roast it until golden, steam it until tender, shred it raw into salad. No matter how you prepare it, cabbage adapts, heals, and supports you quietly. I remember Harold, 80 years old, who started adding roasted cabbage to his dinners twice a week after his doctor suggested a probiotic. And within a month, his bloating had eased, his bathroom schedule became regular, and he said something I will never forget. "Dr. James, I finally feel like my belly isn't fighting me anymore." That is the power of a forgotten food rediscovered. Not flashy, not fancy, but faithful. Sometimes the medicine you've been looking for is already in your kitchen, waiting to be cooked with love. Now, as we move from your gut to your brain, I want you to think about those little slips that happen more often now. Walking into a room and forgetting why, mixing up names, or losing track of a story mid-sentence. It is not always something to fear, but it is something to feed. Because your brain, like your body, needs nourishment. Not just any food, but food that speaks the language of clarity and calm. Tip number 2. Walnuts. The small wrinkled nut that protects your memory and your heart. At first glance, walnuts look humble, almost unremarkable, but nature has a quiet way of hiding power in plain sight. These little brain-shaped gifts are filled with plant-based omega-3 fatty acids, the very same kind found in salmon, but packed into a crunchy, shelf-stable form that you can keep in your kitchen drawer and reach for with ease. Omega-3s are not just good fats. They are essential messengers that soothe inflammation in your brain, improve the connections between your neurons, and help stabilize your mood and focus. For older adults, researchers have noted a clear link between regular walnut consumption and slower cognitive decline. And it is no wonder. When the brain is nourished, memory feels steadier, thinking becomes smoother, and the fog begins to lift. Walnuts also contain fiber and protein to support blood sugar balance, which is especially important in the evening hours when the sweet cravings sneak in and you're most likely to reach for processed snacks. I often tell my patients, let your snack be your medicine, and walnuts are a perfect example. Harold, the same man I mentioned earlier, started replacing his evening cookie with 5 or 6 walnuts and a warm herbal tea. And within a few weeks, not only had he lost 3 pounds, but he told me his sleep was deeper and his thinking clearer in the mornings. That is no accident. When you feed your brain what it truly needs, it thanks you. Not with fireworks, but with steadiness. And in this season of life, steadiness is gold. As we continue, I want you to pause for a moment and think about the last time you truly felt energized. Not jittery, not wired from coffee, but naturally awake, steady, and ready for the day. That kind of energy does not come from caffeine or sugar. It comes from deep cellular nourishment, the kind that rebuilds your body from the inside out. And one of the most overlooked sources of this quiet power comes in a humble leafy green. Tip number 3. Spinach. The green that restores strength to your blood, your bones, and your brain. Spinach is not just a salad filler or a soggy side dish. It is one of the most nutrient-dense plants ever studied, and it gives generously without demanding anything in return. It contains almost zero sugar, almost no carbohydrates, yet it is packed with vitamin A to sharpen your vision, vitamin C to support your immune defenses, and vitamin K to protect your bones from thinning. But perhaps its greatest strength lies in its iron and magnesium content. Iron to help carry oxygen through your bloodstream, so your muscles and brain feel alive, and magnesium to soothe your nervous system, lower your blood pressure, and support calm, balanced movement. Researchers have found that seniors who consume leafy greens like spinach regularly experience slower cognitive aging and fewer mobility issues, not because it's magic, but because it supports all the systems that keep you strong: your heart, your muscles, your nerves. The best part is how easy it is to use. You can toss a handful into your morning eggs, stir it into soups, sauté it with garlic, or blend it into a smoothie. And it digests softly, without bloating or heaviness. Harold, now feeling more like himself after adding cabbage and walnuts, started having spinach with his lunch 3 times a week. He told me, "Dr. James, it's strange. I don't feel younger, but I feel more present in my day. That is what spinach can do. It does not reverse time, but it restores function." Sometimes the most powerful medicine grows quietly, almost invisibly, in the garden. Soft, green, and ready to help. Now, from leafy greens to creamy comfort, let us talk about something that feels indulgent, but is actually deeply healing. Especially for the gut, the muscles, and the quiet hunger that follows many seniors through the day. Because as you age, it is not just what you eat, but how your body absorbs it that matters. And one simple food, when chosen carefully, can do more than any supplement or pill to restore digestive peace and muscular strength. Tip number 4. Greek yogurt, the creamy healer your gut has been waiting for. But not just any yogurt. I am talking about plain, full-fat Greek yogurt, the kind without sugar, without flavors, without the candy at the bottom pretending to be fruit. What makes this yogurt special is not just its texture, but its balance of protein, probiotics, and healthy fat. The protein is slow digesting and complete, perfect for preserving muscle mass, which becomes harder and more essential after 60. Your muscles keep you walking upright, protect you from falls, and help you burn energy evenly throughout the day. The probiotics are the friendly bacteria that live in your gut and keep digestion working smoothly, helping with everything from bloating and constipation to mood and immune function. And the full fat content? That is not the enemy. It is the fuel your brain uses to stay focused, your hormones use to stay balanced, and your skin uses to stay soft and strong. Researchers have found that seniors who eat probiotic-rich dairy regularly tend to have better metabolic health, fewer digestive complaints, and even improved cognition. I remember Harold, again, who had long avoided dairy because of old myths about fat and cholesterol. When he added a small bowl of Greek yogurt to his morning routine, just plain with some crushed walnuts on top, he told me his afternoon fatigue disappeared, and his bathroom habits became, in his words, predictable, finally. That's the power of choosing real food over processed imitations. Greek yogurt, when chosen wisely, is not a snack. It's a daily dose of muscular support, digestive harmony, and calm energy. And sometimes, the most healing food is the one that feels like a treat, but works like medicine. As we go deeper into this journey of nourishment, I want to gently shift your attention from soft textures to something a little bolder, a little saltier, and perhaps surprising. Because the next healing food is often ignored or even avoided, especially by those who grew up thinking canned foods were second-rate. But what if I told you that one of the most complete sources of protein, healthy fats, and essential minerals comes in a small silver can you can buy for less than $2? Tip number 5. Sardines, the little fish that heals your joints, fuels your brain, and strengthens your bones. Sardines are often dismissed because of their smell or their appearance, but behind that modest exterior lies a nutritional powerhouse, especially suited for those over 60. These small fish are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which reduce inflammation in your joints, help your brain process information more clearly, and soothe the underlying tension that often causes pain and stiffness. But what makes sardines even more special is their edible bones. Soft, safe, and filled with natural calcium and vitamin D. The exact nutrients your body craves to protect against osteoporosis and brittle bone injuries. Unlike larger fish, sardines are extremely low in mercury and other toxins, making them a safe choice for regular consumption, especially for older adults. Researchers have observed that seniors who eat small fatty fish like sardines at least twice a week tend to experience fewer inflammatory symptoms, steadier mood, and stronger bone density over time. And let me tell you, Harold was skeptical. He had never eaten sardines in his life. But I encouraged him to try them mashed with olive oil, a squeeze of lemon, and a pinch of mustard, spread on crisp lettuce or low-carb toast. He called me 2 weeks later and said, "I don't even care about the taste anymore. My knees don't ache in the morning." That is the quiet magic of this little fish. No sugar, no carbs, no tricks. Just ancient nutrition in modern disguise. Sardines remind us that healing does not have to be expensive or complicated. Sometimes it just comes in a tin, waiting for someone brave enough to open it. Now let us turn from the sea to something even more familiar. Something you've likely eaten your whole life, but maybe never truly appreciated for what it is. Not just a breakfast staple, but a complete package of healing, wrapped in a delicate shell. Because after 60, your body needs more than just fuel. It needs precision. And one of nature's most perfect foods has been quietly offering that precision all along. Tip number 6. Eggs. Nature's multivitamin disguised as breakfast. For years, eggs were wrongly accused of being unhealthy because of their cholesterol, and many older adults still carry that fear. But science has shifted, and what we now know is that eggs, especially the yolks, are one of the most complete and nourishing foods you can eat, especially after the age of 60. Each egg delivers high-quality protein that helps preserve and rebuild muscle, which is critical for preventing falls, maintaining balance, and keeping your metabolism strong. But the yolk is where the deeper treasure lies. It is rich in choline, a nutrient that supports brain function, sharpens memory, and helps your mind stay focused throughout the day. It also contains vitamin D, which aids calcium absorption for bone strength, along with vitamin A for your eyes and B vitamins for nerve function and energy flow. What makes eggs even more valuable is what they do not contain. No sugar, almost no carbs, and no artificial nonsense. Just real food your body knows exactly how to use. I remember Harold had spent years eating only egg whites, thinking it was healthier. When he reintroduced the yolk, cooking his eggs in olive oil and adding a sprinkle of sea salt, he said something shifted, not just in his energy, but in how satisfied he felt after meals. "It's strange," he told me. "I feel fuller, steadier, like my body's not chasing something anymore." That is what balance feels like. Eggs are not a shortcut or a superfood trend. They are wisdom from nature, packaged with care, and ready to support every part of you, from brain to bone. And in a world full of complicated health advice, sometimes it's the simplest things, like a soft-boiled egg, that offer the deepest healing. As we continue, let us pause and reflect on something subtle. The stiffness in your fingers when you wake up, the dull ache in your knees when the weather changes, or that heaviness in your shoulders by the end of the day. These aren't just signs of age. They are signs of inflammation, quiet, persistent, and deeply tied to what we eat. And there is one golden ingredient, used for centuries in Mediterranean homes, that has been fighting inflammation long before we had a name for it. Tip number 7. Olive oil, the healing fat that flows through your joints, your brain, and your heart. Often called liquid gold, real extra virgin olive oil is more than just a cooking ingredient. It is a daily act of self-care for your aging body. Rich in monounsaturated fats, it helps lower bad cholesterol, support healthy blood vessels, and reduce the kind of inflammation that leads to stiffness, pain, and brain fog. But olive oil does something even more remarkable. It enhances the absorption of nutrients from the other foods you eat. That means when you drizzle it over greens, roast your vegetables in it, or spoon it over wild-caught fish, you are unlocking more vitamins, more healing, more strength in every bite. Studies have shown that older adults who consume olive oil regularly not only experience better cardiovascular health, but also improved brain function and reduced signs of cognitive decline. And it contains zero sugar, zero carbs, just pure, nourishing fat that your body recognizes and puts to work immediately. I once suggested to Harold, now deep into his food healing journey, to take a single spoonful of olive oil in the morning, like medicine. At first he chuckled. "A spoonful of oil?" But after 2 weeks, he said his hands no longer hurt when he opened jars, and his afternoon fog had cleared like a passing cloud. That's not a miracle. It's just your body receiving what it needed all along. Real olive oil, cold-pressed and stored in dark glass, isn't fancy. It's foundational. And sometimes, healing doesn't have to roar. Sometimes, it arrives with a whisper and a drizzle. Now, from golden oil to golden skin, let us talk about something rich, familiar, and perhaps misunderstood. A food many were told to avoid in the name of health, simply because it had fat or flavor, or because it was not white meat. But what if that darker cut of meat, the one with skin and bone, is actually one of the best sources of strength for an aging body? What if comfort food, when chosen well, could also be healing food. Tip number 8. Chicken thighs. The flavorful ally your muscles and immune system have been waiting for. Unlike chicken breast, which dries quickly and offers less depth, chicken thighs are juicy, affordable, and easier to digest, especially when cooked with the skin and bone intact. That skin holds collagen and healthy fat, both of which nourish your joints and keep your hormones steady. The meat itself is rich in high-quality protein, the kind that helps rebuild the muscles that keep you balanced, mobile, and independent. And unlike white meat, the darker cut contains more zinc and iron, two minerals that support your immune system, your healing process, and your daily stamina. Zinc deficiency is one of the most common issues in men over 60, and chicken thighs help restore it naturally, one comforting bite at a time. Researchers have long noted that older adults who consume moderate amounts of quality animal protein experience fewer falls, faster recovery from illness, and improved grip strength, a quiet marker of longevity. I remember Harold once told me, "I gave up fried chicken years ago, but I miss how it made me feel, like home." So I showed him how to roast chicken thighs with olive oil, sea salt, garlic, and rosemary, skin on, bone in. No breading, no sugar. After 1 month of eating that twice a week, he said something beautiful. "I feel like I'm not punishing my body anymore. I'm feeding it with care." That's what healing tastes like when it comes from tradition, not fear. Chicken thighs remind us that nourishment isn't always light and bland. Sometimes it's rich, tender, and rooted in memory. And at this age, comfort should never be confused with weakness, especially when it comes wrapped in strength. And now we move to a food that is soft, green, and buttery. A food that for years was labeled as too fatty or too rich, but is now finally being seen for what it truly is. One of nature's most generous gifts to the human heart, brain, and metabolism. Because as your body ages, it needs fats. Not the fake kind that clogs and confuses, but the real kind that soothes, supports, and satisfies deeply. Tip number 9. Avocados. The fat that loves you back and calms your entire system. This fruit, yes, it's a fruit, is almost sugar-free, very low in carbohydrates, and packed with monounsaturated fats that reduce inflammation, lower bad cholesterol, and help keep your blood vessels smooth and flexible. But avocados do more than just protect your heart. They're loaded with potassium, which supports steady blood pressure, and with fiber that helps regulate your digestion naturally. And perhaps most importantly, they offer satiety, that quiet fullness that keeps you from reaching for snacks, sugar, or late-night cravings. Researchers observing older adults have found that regular avocado consumption is linked with improved cognitive performance and cardiovascular health, not because it works like a drug, but because it nourishes the body at the foundational level, calming stress responses, supporting fat-soluble vitamin absorption, and helping regulate hormones gently over time. I once suggested to Harold, who had a habit of skipping lunch and crashing by 3 p.m., to eat just half an avocado with olive oil and a pinch of salt around noon. The results were subtle but steady. Less fatigue, less irritability, better blood pressure, and fewer cravings at night. He even told me, "I don't think of it as a food anymore. I think of it as a balm." That's the truth about avocado. It does not try to impress. It just shows up. Creamy, nourishing, and loyal. And in a world full of processed distractions, a spoonful of avocado is like coming home. Now we arrive at the final food, one that feels luxurious, but is deeply ancestral. A food from cold waters and ancient traditions, often served in celebrations, but needed far more regularly in quiet daily life. Because if there is one thing your aging body craves more than anything, it is calm. Calm in your joints, calm in your thoughts, calm in your heart rhythm. And this next food offers exactly that, wrapped in pink flesh and ocean memory. Tip number 10. Wild-caught salmon. The brain's favorite protein and your best natural defense against aging from within. Salmon, especially the wild kind from cold, clean waters, is rich in omega-3 fatty acids that soothe inflammation, sharpen cognitive function, and support a steady heart. These essential fats are not just good, they are necessary, because your body cannot make them on its own. They must come from food, and salmon delivers them in abundance, along with high-quality protein to preserve muscle and stamina. And astaxanthin, the natural antioxidant that gives salmon its pink color and helps protect your skin from premature aging. Seniors who consume fatty fish like salmon regularly have been shown to experience slower memory decline, better mood stability, and reduced joint stiffness, not because it is trendy, but because it addresses the root systems of the body: brain, muscle, cardiovascular, and immune. Harold, after months of small changes, had never tasted wild salmon until he visited his daughter in Oregon. She grilled it with lemon and herbs and served it with sautéed spinach. He called me the next day and said, "Dr. James, it felt like my whole body took a deep breath." That is what salmon does. It nourishes without noise, repairs without drama, and supports without demanding attention. No sugar, no carbs, no crash. Just clean, sacred fuel for the most important years of your life. In a world full of pills and powders, sometimes the greatest medicine swims silently beneath the surface, waiting to be served with care. So now that we've walked through these 10 foods, cabbage, walnuts, spinach, Greek yogurt, sardines, eggs, olive oil, chicken thighs, avocados, and wild-caught salmon, I want to bring you back to the beginning. Not with fear, but with clarity. You see, it was never really about cutting everything out of your diet or chasing perfection. It was about listening to your body, understanding its quiet requests, and answering them with real, whole, healing food. Because after 60, your body is not trying to punish you. It is simply asking for support in a different language, a gentler language, one that does not spike your blood sugar or leave you feeling sluggish and confused. You still have the power to nourish your memory, your strength, your digestion, and your joy, not with trends or restriction, but with consistency and care. Each of these foods we've talked about is like a small gift, simple, affordable, and profoundly effective. Not because they're fancy, but because they are familiar to your cells and trusted by your body. So I ask you now, which of these foods are already part of your life? And which one are you curious to try next? Share it in the comments. I read every word, and I'd love to hear your story. If this video brought you clarity or a sense of peace about your next steps, I invite you to like the video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe for more healing truths and positive energy, because aging should never mean silence, shame, or surrender. See you in the next video.